Okay, hello guys. In this video, all of us being in our final year of studies, there's me, my name is Ali, and there's Bhavika, and there's Daimei.
Daimei, yeah.
We're all going to be discussing a few points from our experiences being in our final year of studies. We'll firstly introduce ourselves, and then we're going to talk about our opinions with independent work versus collaborative work, and also we will be talking about, um, given the project that we've taken in this course, what have we done differently with all that has happened. And last but not least, we'll also be talking on our opinions on quantitative consulting as a career, given the course that we're almost going to complete. Okay, so our first question would be an introduction of ourselves. So I'll start with myself, Ali. I'm in my final year of studies, studying statistics and economics, doing a double major. I've taken a number of courses in statistical analysis, like regression analysis, time series analysis, and so on. And also, I took a number of economics courses that are analytically oriented, like econometrics and financial econometrics. Um, on the professional side, I also work in the government, where I'm currently in my third year, working as a data analyst. My work mainly involves producing descriptive statistics. And as many people may know, when you join the job force as a data analyst, most of the work that you will mainly be doing is cleaning data, transforming data, and creating visualizations. Um, Very rarely will you have the chance to really create advanced statistical models. So most of my job involves visualizations based on performance of programs within government. And I mainly got this job when I first joined the co-op program at the University of Ottawa, where I did a few co-op terms in the Treasury Board of Canada and also in Health Canada. And now I'm working part-time as a part of the FSWAP program. Let's now go to Pavika.
So hello, I'm a fourth year student in Math and Computer Science, the double degree. So unlike Ali, I don't have any relevant work experience in my field of studies, but I'm gonna have a co-op session next semester working as a software developer at Solace. So I'm really looking forward to that. So all my experiences so far has been that of a full-time student. So in the course of my studies at the university, I've taken a lot of math and CSI, computer science courses. And in my second year, I came to the realization that I like statistics courses better than I like traditional math courses, such as real analysis and group theory, that kind of courses. So this is one of the reasons that pushed me to take this course this semester, topics in statistics, and the theme happened to be Introduction to Quantitative Consulting this time. So I was really looking forward to doing this course because I love doing statistics courses. And I believe that my background in computer science kind of prepared me a bit for this course because we did a lot of R programming in this one. And I believe having prior experience in Python, Java, and other programming languages helped me a bit to integrate this course. So this is so far my experiences as a student. So let's hear from Daimei.
So, hi, my name is Daimei, and I'm a fourth year undergrad student in the joint honors program of mathematics and economics. Well, most people, when heard this, will say, oh, math. But no, my study field actually ranges really widely from communication, business management, data visualization, and, well, yeah, the most technical thing, mathematical analysis and programming languages. For the first 2 years of my study, to be honest, I was going a full academic field of pure math and economic models until I tried to find a job in the industry. I was a second year undergraduate and I was asked several simple questions in the interview. Say, have you dealt with real world data sets before? I'm honest, no. And how do you deal with teamwork with a lot of group work. I was like, group work? What's group work? Do tutorial sessions count? So so we all know what happened to that interview and my co-op. And here I am.
Bhavika and Daimei, I know you both touched on this idea of not having work experience, but many people, what they do when they're in school is they try doing volunteering. So they would apply for volunteer positions. It could be on campus or off campus, and they could gain experience that way. So that way they can add titles like, for instance, a coordinator or a team lead or a team member on their resume, and they can talk about the things that they did as a volunteer, and they can discuss that in their job interviews. So have you done that before?
I mean, I have volunteered as a French tutor at uOttawa. So basically, you go on this website and you put your availabilities there, and then students contact you for French lessons. Basically, it was mostly like beginner French that I was teaching. But I don't know if that is like relevant to my field of studies, because I'm in math and computer, and I volunteered as a French tutor for like a year. So I do think that it helped me communicate better with people, because I was meeting new people. I actually learned how to talk to them and, how to build like meaningful connections with them when I was like doing the tutoring. It helped me like in my soft skills more than it helped me in my technical skills, if you know what I mean.
Yes, and this is really the advantage of volunteering, is that you build transferable skills. So you build communication skills, teamwork skills, and so on. And you can discuss these types of skills in any job interview that you happen to take. What about you, Daimei?
Well, I was a math tutor, and my tutoring session is just like one-to-one. So I will not say much that improved my communication skill. It just improved my ability to convey the math concepts in different type of languages.
And this is in itself a professional experience, because when you're working in a company, a lot of times you might be working with non-technical people, and you need to learn how to explain to them the analysis that you perform. So that's in itself an important skill set, the skill set of knowing how to convey and teach someone who doesn't know math, knowing how to actually teach them math and teach them these types of technical languages. So this in itself can actually count as an experience. Many people, what they do is they would include these things on their resume, and then they would discuss them in their co-op interviews. So now we're going to go to our second question, which is based on our past experiences, whether it be in school and work or a combination of both, what is our thoughts on working independently versus working as a part of a team? So for instance, for any given task, for any given project, how do we think about being fully responsible for an entire project and having to complete the entire thing versus working with other people that have similar backgrounds like us? So I'll start by answering this question. So from my experience, at least let's start with the academic side. A lot of times when we talk about group work, we talk about maybe 2 or 3 or 4 people, and they all have similar backgrounds, and they all really don't know what to do and where to start. And most of the times also in school, a team lacks a team lead, it lacks a manager, it lacks someone who looks over the team. And so because of that, a lot of times team members as a part of a team don't really know where to start and how to progress and what to work on and what not to work on. From my experience generally, at least from academia, is group work doesn't really end up being the way it's at least expected to be. On the other hand, when we talk about professional experience, a lot of times when you're working as a part of a team in an office, each member of the team is responsible for something. And what that means is you know exactly what you're going to be working on. So for example, you can think about a typical project in a company. It could be a public sector, or it could be a private sector. You can have someone who works on numbers, someone who works on communications, someone who works on translation, someone who works on IT things, and so on. And so because of that, you can have different people working on different things. And so that way they all add up together and end up creating a good product. These are really my thoughts in terms of working independently versus working collaboratively. In academy, it's most of the times it might be confusing. While when you're working in an office, at least you're hired to do a specific job, and as a result, you're responsible for one particular task, which makes teamwork a lot easier. So, Bhavika, what do you think?
Um, so like I've worked on a couple of assignments so far, and some were teamwork and some were individual. I feel that like there are aspects that I like in both. So let's start with the aspects that I don't like first. So for instance, when I did teamwork this semester in another class, the first issue we had was like we couldn't agree on what to use for that project. So a lot of times there are differing opinions on like how to tackle a particular challenge. It can be hard to get used to that, like to make compromises because you don't agree with the other one, and obviously not everyone will agree on the same topic. So you'll have to like make compromises and agree on something that you wouldn't want to do, which is kind of what happened. I didn't want to use a particular programming language, but I had to because the other two persons were wanting to use that. And I feel that sometimes even when we do the group work correctly, say we agree on all the tasks, I feel like it's more like everyone is doing their individual work and then combining it at the last time and calling it a group work. Well, it's more like a couple of individual work that's combined, and then we're like passing it as a group work. So I believe that as students, like you said, Ali, we don't know really how to do it correctly, but I think we're getting there with practice. So I'd say like this is one of the main issues with group work, but at the same time, I feel like one of the positive things about it is that you know that people are depending on you. So you won't procrastinate. And as students, I feel like procrastination is a real problem. So when doing group work, you don't procrastinate because you know someone is depending on you to do another task. And when you have that in mind, you're more likely to do it on time and be more meticulous about it and more organized about it. So I think that is a great advantage when you do group work. And now as for independent work, I feel like it is a great opportunity too, because you get to make all your choices. You don't have to agree on anything. It's completely up to you. But the disadvantage with that is that you have no one to fall back to in case of difficulties. So say you have problems, you're experiencing problems on how to solve a particular problem, but because you're alone and you're responsible for everything, you cannot really ask for help like you would do in the teamwork, but you have others supporting you. So unless you're a very autonomous person, an independent person, it's going to be hard to do individual work unless you're very confident and you know that you can solve every problem that will come your way. So I believe that these are the two aspects. I'll let Daimei speak a bit about it.
My teamwork experiences, I would say, quite different from you guys. My study range is really, really wide, so I get to work with teams, like with someone who has no technical knowledge of any data modeling. And we got to write some sort of economic report about some data. There's some advantage being the only technical person on the team. Like you get to leave all the other work to the other people and they are depending on you. But otherwise, it can be quite chaotic when you're working with groups with larger number of people, say a group with people more than 4 can be very dramatic. First of all, it's like whenever there's a team project, there's going to be a team meeting. And whenever there's a team meeting, there's going to be someone missing. That's when a team leader should be elected at the beginning of the team project. In my point of view, a team leader is more like a team communicator between team members.
This now leads us to our third question, which is, given our experiences being in our final year of our program and our thoughts on what we discussed, which is on independent work versus collaborative work, what have we done differently? So given the projects that we have done in the past, and also more specifically the project that we're currently doing in this course, Introduction to Quantitative Consulting. So what have we done differently in terms of teamwork, in terms of workload, and so on? So I'll begin. So obviously that's just the last point that we discussed, which is the idea of a team lead. Definitely, there's always value in having a team lead. A team lead doesn't necessarily have to be someone as a from the team. Maybe it could be even the professor, or it could be even a TA that the professor hires just to look over the team. So the value of a team lead is they ensure that the team is moving in the same direction. We don't have maybe two people working on the same thing because there's no point in that. Also managing all the different analysis that's produced by different team members. So with a team lead, we don't have to worry about any disagreements, or there's no time wasted, hopefully, and so on. Another thing for sure I learned is a lot of times at the beginning of a school project, sometimes every member of the team is pressured to think about the entire project. And perhaps sometimes every member of the team thinks about all the stages, from data collection to data cleaning to transformation to analysis and so on. But an easier approach is perhaps each member of the team can be responsible for something from the beginning of the project. So we can have one person who is only responsible for visualization. So that's what they're doing for the entire project. We can have another person that is, for example, responsible for advanced analysis. So they could be doing time series analysis, they could be doing regression analysis, and so on. And we can have a person that is, for example, responsible for data cleaning, which happens at the beginning of the project, but also is somehow a work that never ends. So we can have someone who only works on data cleaning. So overall, these are one of the lessons perhaps I learned, the idea of a team lead, which we just discussed, and also each member of the team being responsible for a particular stage of the project.
So what you're suggesting, it sounds like, say for a project, the first phase will be data cleaning, and for this phase you only have one person working on it, and the other team members are probably going to do nothing. And then for the data visualization, there's this person going to work on this, and the other team members are still working on nothing. I think that's a problem.
For instance, let's think about maybe even perhaps the projects that we're currently working on in this course, whether it be the data in relation to the missions around the world, which is the one I think Bhavika is working on, and the Basa airport one, which is the ones that we're working on separate teams. So what we can have is, of course, at the beginning of a project, you can't have someone doing advanced analysis and someone else doing data cleaning. This doesn't work. But perhaps the person that's going to do advanced analysis, maybe they can think about exactly what they will do in terms of analysis. So are you going to be using time series analysis? Are you going to be using regression analysis? If you're going to be using time series analysis, there's a lot of different time series models. You have to do a lot of learning to identify which model you're going to use. If you're going to be using regression analysis, there's simple regression modeling, there's multiple regression modeling, and so on. There's also thinking about, well, what variables are you going to be using for your analysis? What's your dependent variable? What's your independent variable or explanatory variables? The person that's on the same topic responsible for advanced analysis, they need to write all of this down on paper. They should perhaps craft the points that they're going to be focusing on, the processes, and so on. So this requires a lot of work, right? Because in reality, in a project, you can't give someone a week at the end of the project and tell them, hey, do advanced analysis. No, they have to be preparing for that from the beginning of the project, right? The same goes with visualizations. Really, visualizations is an ongoing work. So the idea of creating descriptive visualizations like bar charts or pie charts and so on, that's ongoing. So you can be doing this at the beginning of the project. Even when the data is still not cleaned, you can still create some exploratory visualizations to understand the context. You can be doing that at the middle of the project, you can be doing that at the end of the project, and so on. Because in reality, and I might be wrong, a lot of times when you look at consulting companies and so on, they usually have each individual being responsible for something, right?
Yeah, so that's one important factor that students don't really consider before starting a course. I certainly didn't consider it. I was like, my laptop is good enough to do a math course. It's okay, I don't need to invest in another one. So of all the problems that I thought I might have encountered, computing laptop problem was one of them. And it was a significant problem in my case because we had a huge data set, maybe not as big as yours, but it was a big data set. And I was taken by surprise when my laptop couldn't read it into R. So as a result, all the members of my team had the data set loaded into R and I didn't. and they already started to talk about it, like what we should do, what patterns to explore, and I was still way behind, still trying to like read it. So I think at first that was a major hindrance for me, because I wasn't on the same page as them. So I'd had to see the data through their laptops, or maybe they would have to send me an R object and then I would be able to see it on mine. So I'd say this is a problem that people don't think about, but they should. Like for instance, if you're starting this course, maybe you should know that you need a device with a significantly big computing power to be able to do all of the things. So that is like one of the things I wish I had known. Like maybe the last problem I think was an issue with technical guidance. So I do know that the aim of this course was to teach students how to work on a project with little to no technical guidance, but I think that sometimes I felt too alone in the project. So say we had for instance, the clustering part. Well, I've done a bit of clustering in my past courses. So I've learned a bit about KNN and hierarchical clustering as algorithms, but it was just very theoretical and we hadn't implemented it on a real data set. So it was kind of lost as to what we should be doing. So when I learned that my partner and we would be working on a clustering algorithm, we spent quite a few time researching that method, that algorithm, but we didn't come up with anything concrete. So we kind of wasted maybe 2 weeks trying to figure out how to get started. And even when we had figured out that we would use K mode, because our KNN doesn't work on categorical and numerical data, we still didn't know what to do afterwards. Because on the internet, you can only get so much information. And I feel that if we had more technical support, if we knew exactly, but not exactly, but a big idea of how to do it, we would have been more productive and wasted less time, and maybe come up with a better clustering algorithm for our data set. So I believe that even if the aim is to teach students to be autonomous and do their research on their own and be independent, I feel like in a course like this, at first for someone who doesn't know much about clustering, it's a good idea to have a bit of extra support at times.
Mm-hmm. But also, Bhavika, keep in mind, a lot of times in real life, when you want to analyze a data set, sometimes you have no idea what to do. This can even happen when you're in a job. So the challenge is figuring out what to do, knowing how to bridge this type of gap. So even what you experienced is actually in some way a normal thing, because a lot of times when you're doing advanced analysis, you don't quite know where to start and so on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the fact that it was a simulation of the real world, because it is like a known fact that no one's going to screen feed you once you're in the workplace. And I think it was a good thing that I experienced this feeling of being lost and not knowing what to do, because it taught me things are going to be tough when you start working. And this is just a taste of it, of how it's going to be. But still, I felt I don't know, as a student, I would have loved to have a little more guidance. But at the same time, I do know that it gave me a taste of what's going to be like afterwards. But I do appreciate what you just said. It's just that as a student, I had never had to work on a project where I didn't know what to do. So it was very disorienting at first. This feeling of not knowing where you're going, it took me by surprise. That's what I meant. So Demi, maybe you would like to speak after?
Well, add to your point, I would say Google is always your best technical support.